Hey, what's going on, everyone? Axel here. Want to do a little bit of story time today and talk about my best and worst public group experiences, my best and worst PUG experiences. Some of the community is definitely wary of public groups. I've seen a lot of people post about bad experiences they've had in PUGs. I think a lot of people have had one or two bad experiences and then tend to stay away from PUGs. However, I think overwhelmingly the PUGs are full of great people to play with. Very rarely have I had some bad experiences. The ones I have had I'll talk about today, but overall lots of great experiences. Not so many bad experiences, but some of the bad ones have been really bad. I'll be honest about that. But let's go ahead and get started. I'll start talking about my best experiences. So when I started playing, I didn't have much of the content. The first time I leveled my character to cap, which was 20 at the time, I actually didn't own anything except for Veil, and I might have owned Reavers. I can't remember Reaver's Reach. But one of my best experiences was just, I think one night, I don't remember the usernames or the names of the people, this was years and years ago, but I ran with them probably for a few hours, and they were really fortunate. They were really nice. I was pretty much was a poor college student at the time, and they bought me all kinds of guest passes, so I could run through all kinds of content with them. That was a great experience, just seeing the generosity of people. People are willing to go out and buy guest passes for you if you're a new player trying to learn, which I definitely was at the time. There's been other great experiences I've had. One of the more memorable ones was I basically formed a static group just out of people I met in public groups. There was a segment of my life where I was playing a lot of DDO, and I just happened to, if you keep playing DDO and you're online at the same time every day, you're gonna run into the same people over and over, and that started to happen to me. And if you use a mic, which I always have tried to, and I almost always do in the group, you get to know these people, you make friends, and eventually you can just form static groups just naturally like that. And I did do that a few times. One particular static group, we probably stuck together for, I would say, like 3 months or 3 to 4 months or so, just leveling our characters together. We just noticed that we happened to be online at the same time, and there were some really cool people, good online friendships there. It's really cool. It really brings a lot more to the game if you can actually socialize a little bit with the people you're playing with instead of it just being, robotic and informal through text. So I've always pushed people to use mics in group if they feel comfortable with it. So that was a good experience. I've also joined a few guilds from people I've met on public groups. So both guilds, I've been in 2 guilds. Both have since died. I'm currently not really in an active guild. Would like to join one if anyone has an active epic/rating guild in Thelanis they want to invite me to. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter or something. But but both guilds I have been in, which have been really cool, pretty active guilds. I met through just public groups. Just happened to start running with some of the guild members, and they eventually you meet these same people over and over because you run in the same group with them over and over because you happen to be online at the same time. Normally you have a fixed play time, and that's what happened to me both times. So met a lot of people. I know probably the best guild I was in was probably around Menace for the Underdark when that dropped, and I'm really glad I was in an active guild at that time because that was a lot of great new content, epic destinies, enhancement tree pass. We had all kinds of stuff to do and explore. And I'm glad I had an active guild at that time because it was a lot easier to get groups, and I kind of got to explore the content with people I met online, which was cool, instead of it just being informal all through public groups, which is great. Let's talk now about some of the bad experiences I've had, and I've got to say, when it comes to the really bad experiences, I can count all of them in my probably 10 years of playing DDO. I can count all of them on one hand. It doesn't happen very often. Now, a lot more often, you'll run into a slightly frustrating experience. Say you run into a group and you've got maybe a 1 character or 2 characters in there that are just piking or just aren't really contributing much, or it could be the opposite thing where you run into a group and you have like one person on a super mega awesome powerful build, and they just kind of kill everything before you have a chance to do it yourself, and you're just kind of become a glorified piker, which is unfortunate. But Far less often are the actually really bad ones, which really I've only had two really, really bad experiences, and they both stemmed from me playing a healer. So I know one in particular, probably the worst one I've had is I was running runs of Demon Queen just to grind out torque, and this was years and years ago because I wanted to get a torque, and I had terrible RNG luck on that. I think it took me either 60 or 80 completions to get a torque from the 20th list, and I never saw one drop in the chest. So I was just running basically heroic version of Demon Queen because even though I was like max level at the time, I think I was level 20 at the time, I was just running heroic level Demon Queen because I was just wanting to grind out completions. So did that, and one day I happened to come upon someone who joined the group I started, and they got really upset because I wasn't healing them the way they wanted to, even though I'd kind of made it clear that, definitely made it clear that this was going to be a fast run, a very Zerg run, because I was just trying out a completion here, and they shouldn't expect to be healed. It was, especially since it was a level 20 character. He was playing, I think he was playing a level 20 barbarian or level 20 fighter at the time, and we were running, I think, elite heroic Demon Queen, which is a much lower level quest. We weren't running, say, like epic or anything. We're just running the heroic version, and he got upset because I wasn't healing him at all, and I kind of just let him die at one point because I'd made it clear that, hey, this is a fast run, I'm just gonna Zerg this, and he got upset, he cursed me out and blocked me, which was unfortunate because he was a really active player on the server, so we didn't get to group together anymore. I often put up a lot of groups, he put up a lot of groups, but and we couldn't play with each other because he didn't like the way I was running that group. Normally I am very 99% of the time I am, well, I wouldn't say 99%, but probably 90% of the time I'm very willing to heal. The only exception where I'm just probably not going to heal you is if I make it clear that I'm running something way under level just for favor, or if I just want to grind completions on something really a lot lower level where you really should be able to survive. If you're at, you're 10 levels above the content, you shouldn't need someone to babysit you on heals. So he got upset, blocked me. So that was probably the worst experience I've ever had. And the other bad experience I've ever had is I was running, what was it? It was a low level, I don't remember the quest, but it was probably like levels 5 or 6 or 7. And I was running a cleric as well, and there are several melees in the group. And one monk in particular was not happy with the way I was healing, and I actually was healing everyone the best I could. I couldn't quite keep up because there were probably like 3 or 4 melees in the group, and they were all we were running it, I think, at level elite, so it was kind of challenging at the time. And yeah, so everyone kept dying, and I was doing my best to keep up. But when you've got four people to keep up with on heals, sometimes you got to let people die. It's just the way it is. If you're a healer, sometimes you got to let some people die so you can save others, so you prevent a wipe. But he didn't really understand that, so he got mad, cursed me out. I actually whispered to him. I sent him a private message saying that, hey buddy, I'm sorry. I'm doing my best here, but he wasn't having it, and he just cursed me out, and I think he ended up blocking me, I'm not sure. But as a healer, you will occasionally run into something like that. Not nearly as much nowadays, but back in the day it used to be a slight problem because people would expect you to heal them. That's kind of what started up the whole healer versus melee fights that you would see a lot in the forums. If you visited the forums back in the day, people would often debate and complain and argue back and forth about whose responsibility is it for you to heal. Are clerics, are they required to heal because they're a cleric? Should they always be expected to heal, or is it on the fighter or the barbarian or the monk to kind of have a secondary way to heal and not be completely dependent? Of course, the community kind of went the way of everyone's required to heal themselves, which is what ended up happening. I think the developers decided to go that way partly out of community consensus. But regardless, this incident happened before that was the case. So yeah, that was my other bad experience, but it's really like the only other time. I think that's only the only other time I've ever been actually cursed out in the game or really treated badly. Other than that, it's just been minor annoyances. There's been several times, probably not several, but a couple times other than that, where I was getting kind of harassed or just talked down to a lot. when I was doing my best to heal, and in those circumstances I would sometimes just say, okay guys, well, I don't want to if you're going to treat me this way, I don't want to play with you. So I would just teleport out of the quest and drop group. Sometimes you got to do that. Look, I'm probably the nicest guy you're going to find in game. I'm super nice. I get along with everyone great that I talk to in the game. But if you start treating me bad and you expect, like, you start treating me instead of a teammate, you start treating me like a healer slave and start demanding things to the point where you're being insulting, you're kind of ruining my fun. You're getting to the point where even though I'm trying my best to heal everyone, it's not enough for you, and you start insulting me. I'm not going to put up with that. So I'm going to drop group most likely and leave. So let's talk about, I guess, overall thoughts. Overall, I don't want those bad stories I told you to scare you away from public groups if you're someone who doesn't do public groups very often, because as I've said, my overwhelming experience has been completely positive in the past 10 years. Literally only 2 times, maybe 3, have I been like seriously had really bad experiences over voice chat. So 99% of the time you're going to run into great people. So I would encourage everyone to PUG and use a mic, because I think that socially it adds a lot to the experience. I would encourage you to do that. And now some people have anxiety, things like that, or a little apprehensive about it. I have anxiety myself, but I think it's something you just maybe take a baby step there. Just try it out. No one's going to jump through the computer screen and grab you. So I think that's going to that's going to be it for this video, guys. Why don't you share with me any stories you might have, overwhelmingly positive or overwhelmingly negative, about this game that you've had. Tell me if you've had any bad experiences or super positive experiences that have really stuck with you as you played the game. Yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good one. Take care.